Oh,
Got it.
the logo. I get the logo.
A terrible thing happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma exactly 100 years ago. The white population massacred hundreds of black people in the Greenwood district, also known as Black Wall Street, after a 19-year-old black man was accused of assaulting a 17-year-old white woman in an elevator. The Greenwood district on Tulsa's north side was one of a handful of places in the U.S. where a thriving black middle class existed. They weren't allowed on the south side, but they had somehow built a bustling community with their own banks, grocery stores, schools, and restaurants. No one really knows what happened between Dick Rowland and Sarah Page on that elevator, though she refused to file any charges and a later investigation determined that no criminal activity had taken place. We do know that she screamed and they both exited very quickly. A white lynch mob demanding vigilante justice formed outside of the jail where Dick Rowland was being held. This is an era where lynchings of black men were far too common. So a group of black men came down to the jail with guns to defend Dick Rowland from the mob if necessary. What happened after that absolutely annihilated Black Wall Street in Tulsa. I'll talk more about that in part 2. A white mob descended on the black community in Tulsa 100 years ago and completely destroyed their homes and businesses. They shot and firebombed hundreds of people for 18 hours, all with the sanctioning of law enforcement. For decades, this story was deliberately covered up by those in power. Researchers had their lives threatened if they talked about it. Official records were stolen and destroyed. Tulsa's my hometown, and this is a history I didn't learn about until I was out of college. In 1921, a 19-year-old black man named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a 17-year-old white woman named Sarah Page in an elevator. He was being held in a Tulsa jail when a white lynch mob showed up demanding vigilante justice. When a group of black men showed up with weapons to guard the jail, the white men challenged them and a gunfight broke out. This marked the start of an 18-hour siege on the thriving Greenwood community on Tulsa's north side, an area known as Black Wall Street. The homes of 1,200 black people were burned to the ground. 8,000 people were rendered homeless. Churches, schools, libraries, and even a hospital were destroyed in the worst case of racial violence in U.S. history. No one was ever charged with a crime, and Oklahoma legislators refused to require that schools teach this.
Some African American communities are prospering, like the residents of Greenwood, a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here, former slaves were given land after the Civil War, and this rare footage shows the thriving town they built. A remarkable Baptist pastor named Solomon Sir Jones is the pioneering filmmaker. His footage was lost for more than 50 years. Jones captures the bustling life of Greenwood, which could be any American small town. But Tulsa's whites don't like.
Night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot.
because white folks owned us and they will never get over it. Because I'm going to tell you why. I read the white book. Getting away wasn't a chapter, okay? We tricked their ass, we got away, and they ain't going to never be the same.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other.
It was Freddie, Sam, Corey, Eric, Philando, Ahmad, Steven, Kenneth, Amadou, Jonathan, Christian, Terrace, Sean. Killed him a day before his wedding. Jamar killed him while he was in handcuffs. Mike killed him while he had his hands up. Kamani, Ramali, Phillip, Alton. About 3 Kevins, about 2 Jordans. John, Laquan, Bathon, Stephon, Tony, Tamir, Elijah, Antoine, Isel, Terrell, Dontre, Akai, George. For him, set the country on fire. Timothy, Patrick, Paul, Tyree, Quintonio, Darius, Jeremy, William, Anthony, Dante, Oscar, Kendrick, Keith, David, Walter, women like Sandra, Betty, Rihanna, India, Michelle, Tatiana, Tanisha, Rika, Natasha, Pamela, Janet, Megan, baby Ayana. All that we lost, your name live on. Wasn't killed by a cop, but I can't forget Trayvon. Can't forget Emmett, and all of those we lost to the beast. No justice, no peace. No peace, no peace.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 5 Black Comics. We're here every Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern. But now we're 4 Black Comics because Kevin just left.
I had to go get my sage, man. I had to get my sage.
Okay.
Got some sage on.
Sage.
I was going to say, Kevin, you are the worst magician ever. You did a disappearing act so you get up and walk away.
I know, because we saw that trick. Nothing up his sleeve there.
I had to go get my sage, man, so I can calm down. That's all.
You're gonna share that with us? I mean, is that something that we all should be doing? Saging?
Everybody should sage up.
You gotta have something that you do, or you would go crazy after this week's assignment. It was brutal.
Everybody should sage up, no doubt.
All right, we all gotta get sage. Yeah. So today's episode, we are talking about the massacres of Black communities in the United States of America, which I had no idea happened. I as well as everyone watching or everyone on the panel will be learning a lot about the massacres that occurred against Black communities in America, and it's been hidden. Like everything else, even though it's part of history and we all feel that it should be out there for everyone to know, it just makes for a better country, in my opinion, when we're upfront about the history of a country. But the most famous one we've all heard about is the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre of 1921. But today we're going to touch on several different massacres. As we found out, they're probably over 100. Where white mobs, and I noticed there was a common denominator in all of these massacres. In 99.99% of all the massacres, the reason for white mobs killing Black people is out of jealousy. They just felt Black people were doing too well. And they just that's basically it. They just felt these uppity niggas, as I'm sure they probably put it, they're doing well. They're buying homes, they're opening businesses, and we can't have that. So not let's put them out of business or let's harass them. Let's kill them. And everyone research. Most people researched the Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there was Elaine, Arkansas massacre. I did not get the year when this happened, but they were calling it the bloodiest racial conflict in American history. I don't know if you can choose a bloodiest because there were so many of them.
True.
But it just came down to white people. I think the slaves were free at that point, and black people were working. I actually found out what sharecropper meant today. Sharecropper means that black people will work for white people for free, but they would get a share of the profit from the crops. But what the white people would do is the black man would say, and the reason the Elaine, Arkansas massacre started, black man picked $500 worth of cotton and told the white, I picked $500 worth of cotton, so you owe me, whatever. The white man said, well, you used $697 of my supplies to pick $500 of my cotton, so now you owe me $197. So that's where it all started. Union was formed. Black people started to get together, and of course they didn't like that, and that's where that massacre started. But I'm gonna go to Desi first. Desi, I'm not sure which massacre you researched because there's so many of them. But you can piggyback on what I just talked about, or choose your mode of jumping into this, however you want to do.
Thank you, Carl. That was really good. I just learned something now too. So thanks for sharing that. The bottom line, I want to start with the end before I go back and we go dig in too deep. The bottom line is if we are left alone with resources, we find a way to prosper. We find a way to thrive. And that's what we really got to understand. The other lesson that I want us to understand is that through unity, we're able to build and make a great society. You won't hear about jails in Tulsa specifically. You won't hear about any type of crimes that was quote unquote black on black because they were so busy being prosperous and helping each other out, they were able to make it. So when I look at the people that I work with here on this crew, I'm grateful, and I'm determined to work with you no matter what, because I know that we will only succeed through unity, and that's why I'm dedicated to try and do it. Now we got to understand too that there's also been a lot. I'm going to give a little context, specifically the 5 civilized tribes. They were called civilized because they worked with the United States government to in commerce and trade. One of them was famous, called the Seminoles. They were down in Florida. So a lot of the black people that were slaves, they didn't run away. The Underground Railroad didn't necessarily run north because Florida, again, was sovereign country. So many thousands of black people went to Florida, just stepped over the border, and there was no slavery because it wasn't owned by the United States. They joined with the native Blackfoot Indians, and they formed the Seminole Indians. Now, there was other black people. The 5 civilized tribes agreed to buy into the United States concept. They owned slaves also. So now, once the United States decided we're getting rid of the 5 civilized tribes and the Indians, you got to take your slaves with you. So the Trail of Tears is the terrible walk that was forced upon the Native Americans and the freed slaves. They settled in Oklahoma, over 2 million acres in Oklahoma. Once slavery was ended, even the civilized tribes that owned slaves let their slaves go because part of the Indian Treaty was the Treaty of like 1822. The Indians, the Native Americans, had to give share their resources with everyone in the tribe. So now all of a sudden they kicked out all the black people that were part of that tribe, and now they're kicked out. So a lot of us who say, "Oh, I got Indian in my family," you really do have Indian in your family. It's just that they didn't really like you; they just used you as a slave. So the reason why I'm telling you all of this because we, when we got to Oklahoma from getting the Trail of Tears, and then we got cut off from the Native Americans because they kicked us out, they didn't want to associate with us anymore. We settled and congregated together. We got land together. And through that cohesiveness where we working together, we were able to prosper. We had millionaires. We had guys that owned planes. They had people that owned automobiles in 1921. We were, they had libraries, they had banks, they had everything you could name in a civilized, efficient society was there. And I'm going to specifically talk about the Tulsa riot in that this was considered the first time that the government worked with the vigilante mob, almost what we would call the militia, to dominate and kill the black people. And they attacked from airplanes. They shot and killed everyone. And I'm sure someone will have the details, but there was they only counted like maybe 23 or 30 something murders as part of it, and no one went to jail when there was hundreds of murders. So we have to. We're gonna talk in detail about it. I'm really glad that we got the information, and this is a thing that we have to do. The thing that you touched on, Carl, and then I'm gonna pass it to the next one. Uh, that perception of being successful still carries through today. In that, if you happen to through all the obstacles that are thrown at us, find a way to thrive, find a way to survive, able to buy a house and educate your kids and drive a nice car, you still are almost affected negatively by what happened in Tulsa, in that you don't want to shine in front of certain groups of people because you fear that they're just going to get mad and jealous and take it out on you. So you do what you need to do anyway.
Yeah.
So that underlying, if you get a lot of anger or angst, when I'm driving my Mercedes, I get people, well, my old Mercedes, used to cut me off all the time. And when I look at them, you could tell they knew it was me, and they were cutting me off just because it was me.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that whole feeling of jealousy and resentment. So I'm going to pass it to the next one, but I want to get this point out. Please understand that when we are unified and we decide to work together, whether we like each other or not, if we work together, we will find a way to thrive and be successful in the land.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Kevin, I'm going to TI. Sorry. Kev. But I want to piggyback. I got a friend. This was like 10 or 12 years ago, though. She told me her mother gets very upset when she sees black people doing well. If she drove by a black person in a nice car, she go, "How the hell can they afford that?" If she sees a nice house, she gets angry. It's not jealousy. She told me her mom gets literally angry when she sees black people with anything that she think they should not have. It's not even about jealousy. I'm like,
probably her parents told her that. That's how they trained them.
Her mom's parents. Yeah, I mean, it's
probably where she gets it from.
Yeah, and she said her mom just gets very upset if her mom's driving and the car passes and it's a black family, a black person, and the car is nicer than hers. It irritates her. Literally. So I know Kevin is probably driving a bunch of people.
They be hating on you, bro.
Right.
I'm like, look at that.
All the time.
Yeah.
2021, what?
Yeah. But I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the Arkansas massacre that I found out that black families were literally murdered and fingers and ears were taken from them as souvenirs. Mm-hmm. They walked in, they lit the houses on fire. And when the families came out, they shot them The families ran out of the burning houses. They shot them as they ran out. And so they heard about it, and the American government sent the army to Arkansas to stop this. It was a black uprising, is what they heard. So the black people who were hiding in the bushes saw the army, the tankers and stuff, and figured they were there to help them. So they came out of the bushes and they mowed them down with the machine guns. So I mean,
wow,
that, and people want to say America is not a racist society. I don't know how they come to that conclusion. Sometimes I think the information that we as Black people get, I don't know, other people, don't get the same information. Maybe we are reading books that they don't read, or they, you know what I mean? Because that's the only conclusion I can come to. It's like, we have access to all this information. That's how come we know what we know, and that's how come we react how we react, and that's how come we feel how we feel, because we know the history. So I don't know if they just make. Go ahead, Disney.
You keep going, but just this week there was a general who was speaking at Memorial Day, and in his speech he wanted to explain how Memorial Day was started by African Americans. They cut his mic off. And they said that they didn't want that part included in the speech. So just to back you up, I just wanted to add emphasis to your point. You're exactly right in that even if there is empirical evidence that we are productive and valuable members of society, certain demographics don't want to hear it because it goes against their narrative and what their thoughts and beliefs are.
Yes.
So, Kev, I'm going to go to you, brother.
Oh man, Des covered so much, man. Good job, Des. This show's over. No, I'm just kidding. It's over. I was doing a lot of research on the Wilmington Massacre, Wilmington, North Carolina, that happened on November 10th, 1898. And just reading, first of all, it started for the same reason that Des says, called straight jealousy of seeing Black people thriving. Mm-hmm. There was no other reason other than these people are doing good and we don't like it. It kind of reminds me of the scene in Eddie Murphy's movie, the one Carl used to have. I think you used to have the picture on your wall. What was that?
Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights, yeah. Where the detective said, "Man, you jigs are doing good." Like they didn't. So it's almost like the same thing. Like they never want to see you do good, but then they come with you with the same narrative that Black people are lazy. Black people don't want to work. Right. Black on black crime. One of the things I found out from doing some research on a couple of these towns where massacres happened was, especially Tulsa, for example, this place didn't even have a jail there. There was no jail because there was no black on black crime. Black people weren't killing each other. There was no crime. They built banks, grocery stores, bowling alley, movie theater. They built every type of business you can think of, and they didn't put up a jail. So there was no crime. Black people weren't violent. They weren't killing each other. They were thriving. They were succeeding. They were successful. There were, schools for the kids. Kids actually in these schools were learning, what Black teachers were teaching them, obviously. So I'm just saying, man, I don't. I was gonna say. I was thinking about watching Malcolm X, the movie, when they were talking about separation, and the Muslim, they always talk about separation, like that's the way for Black people to thrive and get back to, being successful. And I always disagree with that, But then when you do the research on these massacres and you see these towns where Black people were thriving and living amongst each other, and there was no crime, and we were, thriving. In Wilmington, there was $6 million in the bank that ended up being missing, by the way. The money was never returned. We know who took it. You know,
yeah,
it wasn't the money wasn't, you know, burnt in the fire. As they burnt the bank down, the safe was open and empty, by the way. So the money was gone. $6 million of these black people's money mysteriously it was missing. You know, where do you think that money went, guys? Over to the white community, right?
Yes.
I mean, there is nobody's been held accountable for this. This is the most disturbing thing about learning, doing research and learning about. Nobody's gone to jail. Right. Nobody went to jail. Nobody. If you add up all the massacres on the cities that we've you know, done research on, and think about how many black people were killed, you know, and schools were burnt down, kids were killed. It was just adults, kids and women were killed. In Tulsa, they were put into graves, mass graves, just, you know. So, I mean, this is horrific what was done to African Americans. And now, just now, we're finding out about this, you know, a few years ago. Just Joe Biden's the first president to actually speak on Tulsa, Oklahoma. The first president, you know, to go there, you know, on the anniversary, and I hate to use that word anniversary, but you know, he went to Tulsa. So, I mean, is he gonna go to every town now? Because we need to make him aware of every massacre, you know, that happened. Yeah. It wasn't just Tulsa. That's the most famous, I guess, but we need to go to all of them, you know, and find out what happened and how many people died. And as I do my research, you know, research on this was like hard to just read about this, man. You know, these people were machine gunned down, burnt out of their houses. Like you said, they come running out. A lot of them had their hands up and they were shot, you know. But the $6 million thing really tripped me out because it shows the wealth that community had, you know. That was $6 million
in 1921.
Yeah.
Imagine that in 1921.
Now here, think about this, guy. So we're not lazy. We don't mind working, you know. We're not a violent people. We do get along if we're raised right, you know. So all these things that we hear about us now, especially down through social media, black people being lazy, not wanting to work and all that stuff. You can look at the example of these towns that we're talking about today, you know, how successful we were, you know. And I don't know why, I don't think it'll work now, and I don't know. You know, I performed up in upstate New York at a Jewish community, Orthodox Jews up here in the Catskills of New York. And they have these compounds, and it's like a city almost, like a big town, you know. It's all Orthodox Jews. You go on, you have to be let on. First, you just can't drive on. They got to let you on. You pull up to the gate. I'm a comedian. I'm performing here tonight. They let you on. You know, you get on there. They got their schools. They live on these compounds. You know, their houses are there. Their schools are there. It's their big, giant community, you know, and they live on that community. And from what I understand, the New York politicians have been trying to take that land forever from them so they can build casinos or whatever, resorts and stuff up there. But so it's still being done, you know, as far as people living as one, you know, these are Orthodox Jews all living, you know, but black people were doing it. Of course, the white man didn't find it fit and he went in and burned these places down. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's funny that they say we're lazy. I always ask the question, if black people are lazy, why would you travel hundreds of thousands of miles to a country, right? to bring lazy people back to the home, right? Shouldn't they be going to Europe? If the white people love to work, go to Europe and get the white people. Yeah, right. Because we're lazy. Why are you bringing us? You know, it really. But we know that it's like, you know, like they say, like we talked about. If you chain the mind, you don't have to chain the hands and the feet. You know, and they worked on our minds. Tanya, I'm gonna come to you next. And you can tell us what you found in your research.
So thank you for that information, guys. So far, I love this because I'm learning so much. But as you said, it was exhausting mentally. So what I found was a lot of this started in 1660, but in my opinion, it started way before that. Because if you remember, if you go back to the times of the Romans. I'm just saying, it makes sense. Clubbing people, like that's a thing. That was a thing. So it's not shocking to me that all those people that, if you look at all these atrocities that are happening, a lot of the people were all immigrants who came from somewhere else. And if you go with that theory, then you'll know why this is not shocking to me. So basically, there's a series of periods where this whole uprising thing goes and the violence goes. So you had the revolts of the enslaved. That whole thing. There's so many. The New York City slave uprising. There's the Creole case. There's Amistad Mutiny. There's so many things going on with that. Then you had the antebellum urban violence, with, the Cincinnati riots, which I'll mention a piece of that. Anti-abortion riots. You had Cincinnati race riots, the Pennsylvania Hall of Fire. Then you had the Civil War, Reconstruction, and post-Reconstruction era violence. Okay, so all these, I'm not going to mention them all because it's way too many to mention. But then you had the urban uprising, and those are more current, 1960 to 2000. So the point of them all were usually, and just to adjust, I'm only going to pick out one or two, but it was usually, like you said, Carl, if I had to boil it down to one word, it comes down to jealousy and the feeling like something's going to be taken away from me. So I got to get rid of you. So I don't know if that's still the same as jealousy versus you've been fed these lies, because usually the media, whatever that was at the time, or the mayor or the town, whoever, or the government was feeding those lies. Like, oh, they even told the Native Americans, like, you're a little bit better than the black people, right? And so they had their thing, and some of them were like, wait a minute, how could that be? The other one was like, oh yeah, okay, let me get in on this. So it's all, they were all lies fed to a lot of people. First of all, but that's still no excuse, and there is no, absolutely no excuse for the level of violence and monstery that went on. I'm talking in East St. Louis race riot in 1917, 100 people, black people, were shot, burned, clubbed to death. Okay, clubbed. Like, who does that? Who does clubbing? Maybe somebody in the Roman period. I'm just saying. So to me, this is history repeating itself. It's just called something else now, and we candy coat it and sugar coat it and hid it for so long, because a lot of people don't know this, But the Cincinnati riots. Okay, so I'll make it as short as I can. Let's just say a lot of people were. Who is it? Governor? What's his name? Frank Loden. He had to call in the National Guard because there was mobs. It basically always starts out with either someone raped someone, they'll tell that lie, or someone robbed someone, and then there's an altercation or something. So the mob comes in and says, well, they can't do that. Or it's just, it seems like to me, all of them have one thing in common, and that's just, pulverize African Americans as much as you can. Get rid of them. We don't want them here. And they didn't even stop. July 2nd, 1917, they resumed violence again with women, children beaten. I mean, who does that? Shot to death. And they would burn your homes because they didn't want you to have any way of getting it back together. So what will I say to this? Fear, jealousy, and just pure evil is, in my opinion, because there's nothing you can tell me on the news, the media, or like any of my 4 black comments. Now, there's nothing you can say to me that would make me go out and club Desi to death or club a human being. Like, there's nothing you can say to me. There's nothing. Absolutely. If I was standing right now here with you and someone came and said, I'm going to kill all the 5 black comics, and they have guns and weapons, and now I have to think on my toes. Okay, fine. We're up for a fight. But I'm not going to just, because Desi said, Tanya, people with purple hair are coming and taking over our town, and they're gonna take over our jobs, and we're not gonna have any jobs. I just find it hard and mind-boggling to believe that someone would be so enraged that they would say, where's their kids? Where are we gonna make sure they don't have no future? Like, who does that? So it's not shocking, but it's based. All of it was based off of lies. Now here's the thing: when they let us go from slavery, you had to keep something going, right? You couldn't just let it go normal, because that's how you got Tulsa and you got places that were nice. We built up things. We survived on our own. You couldn't have that. So you had to start feeding a narrative. And it was always rumors that started these riots. Tulsa, all of them. It was always a rumor like, oh my God, I can't believe they raped a white woman. Or, oh my gosh, they beat up Mr. So-and-so and shot him to death. Shot him to death? They can't shoot a white man. We must go and avenge ourselves. Like, so the funny thing about this is the connection to the Capitol riots. Y'all, I don't know if anybody makes them.
Glad you said that. Go ahead.
Somebody talk about that, because that is interesting. And George Floyd, remember the fact that they killed him in front of everybody. It's like, I'm gonna show him, right? I'm gonna show him up real good. These are reoccurring themes throughout our history. It's not shocking to me. It's just overwhelming for me as an African American. It's overwhelming for me to deal with this. So I'm gonna give it back to you, Carl. But I will say also the Cincinnati riots in 1829. That, sad to say, it was my Irish brothers and sisters. 2 weeks of violence starting in August. 200 to 300 Irish immigrants descended on a town and burned and tore it up and did everything they could because they thought that the black people were taking their jobs.
You know, the fascinating thing I found was how quickly the mobs grew, because they said in Tulsa, the mob grew to over 3,000, 2,000 in like a matter of minutes.
Because they were waiting. There's people sitting in the waiting, like even right now, if you go look at some of those QAnon groups, there's people sitting waiting. So, okay, I'll get a chance to use my gun eventually. They're just waiting for the right clearance.
Exactly.
It's premeditated. For example, Carl, let's say, for example, let's say what happened on January 6th was Obama telling a bunch of black people to go into the Capitol. We already know that white supremacist groups are training for a race war in the mountains and woods of West Virginia and Kentucky and all that sort of stuff. So all these guys, you know, would have grabbed their guns and hauled ass probably to the nation's capital to take on these black folks if they were doing an insurrection, you know what I mean? So, and trying to keep Obama in power. So yeah, it's all, so that's why it grows so quickly. They're already preparing. They use the excuse that it was, he raped a white woman in the elevator. They use the excuse, Emmett Till flirted with a white woman. You know, it's all lies, but they know it's lies. It's just an excuse to kill Emmett Till, to lynch somebody. It's an excuse to put that boy in jail in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and abuse him and probably lynch him too. You know, that's why the brother showed up to save his life, you know, which caused that big thing. But it's all lies. I mean, January 6th was based on a lie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Trump told a lie.
And they still running the lie.
He's still running the lie. And probably going to start another.
They're going to get ready for something. They got
because apparently he's supposed to be back in office in August, from what I hear.
Yeah, that's what he's telling people.
Consider this: have you ever been in an argument with someone who was white? How quickly do the crowds gather, and how quickly is there always someone white saying, "Well, you need to change"? Talking to the black
your tone,
whether you're right or wrong, you need to change your conduct. So it's kind of it must be some kind of thing that's passed down through culture.
It is exactly.
I mean, exactly. Even simple things like talking to white people. Sometimes I'm talking to them, just talking regularly. Okay, 2 days ago I returned something I bought to pharmacy Walgreens. It was a gift card. I know you can't return a gift card, but when I tried it, I couldn't get any money out of it. So I went back to see if it was activated, you know what I mean, or what's going on. I was asking. And the lady behind the counter was like, well, and she was like, well, you know, you can't I said, I know, I'm just asking. I just want to make sure that the cashier, because apparently when you buy it, it's
activated.
Right, it's automatically activated. And she's like, all like getting like, I'm not even like yelling. I'm like, and I'm even trying to speak calmer to calm her down. And then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I? I'm just fucking, you know what I mean? So, right, I'm always trying to make white people comfortable.
Not me.
You know
Not me. I had a Karen.
I gotta catch myself. Like, why am I trying? I'm just asking her a simple question. Is the card activated? Just check. And she's like, sir, you can't. I know I can't return it. This is what I'm saying now, but I didn't escalate it because in the back of my mind, if the cops show up, I'm wrong, she's right. Here's a black man and a white woman. We know how it's gonna go.
Especially since you have a carrying voice like me. When I talk to someone or I get a Karen, the first thing they say is, "Well, I said, calm down. Just because I'm loud doesn't mean I produce violence. I'm an anti-violent person at all. I will not ever hit you, and I have to say that. So I said, so my voice may inflect because I have.
Why do you have to imply that? Why do you have to say hitting? See, they'll take anything. Why did you say hit? Why did you say that? Oh, you're threatening me by saying you wouldn't hit me.
I had a girl.
I know that's where they go. That's right where they go.
Yeah.
Oh, you said hit.
Imagine 1921 black people. Imagine that.
Oh, I can't.
In 2021, we're talking about, but imagine what it was like in 1921.
Imagine what it was like in 1921 when they came and black people had guns. They didn't take guns out. Oh, okay. I'm gonna get all my people with guns.
Yeah. So I mean, I know I always say there's this fear of black people. But Tanya always corrects me and said it's not a fear. I don't know if it's a hatred. It's a fear, and I also don't understand if what I call the CWP, the cool white people, don't see what we see. Do they see what we see? Do they? You know what I mean? Like
people do. They do. I've had people say literally call it out before I even do, and I'm like, I'm glad you see that I'm not being paranoid.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, oh, why are you always talking about race? And like, don't you get tired? Listen, try being black. That's exhausting.
Okay? First of all, I'm not blaming the brother, man, but let me point something out, man. In today's world, as I travel around the country doing stand-up comedy, I do everything in my power not to be on an elevator alone with a white woman.
Good for you.
Right.
All right. So,
and that's today.
Period. No matter when I'm traveling, and I stay in hotels all over the country, I don't want to be on an elevator alone. In 1921, this brother should have stepped off that elevator, That's all, I mean, because you already know,
Yeah. Well, the story
it was also rumored that they were actually in an affair. They actually had, involved in an affair, which would be equally, reason for them to like, oh my God, he's sleeping with that white woman. It didn't have to be that, but that's where they're gonna go. That's gonna go right away. Oh, you think because remember that's when Griffins came out with America with his movie, the first movie.
Yep, Birth of a Nation. I was gonna
Birth of a Nation, where the freed slaves are attacking all the white women. That was the narrative he put in the movie. And the Klan came to the rescue. The Klan came to the rescue.
That's right.
The first movie was considered an epic, and what it did was it brainwashed the whole country to think that black people are just waiting around to attack white women. They showed also the stereotype of laziness.
Yes.
They showed that black people got elected to government, and they showed them when they showed up for government, they had their feet up, their bare feet up on the tables, and they're sitting around just chilling. And so that's where a lot of those stereotypes that we still live with today came from.
And they still feed them.
Especially when the president had
No, I'm saying you didn't get a turn yet. So I'm saying go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the president for that movie had a showing at the White House where that was the first time a movie was shown at the White House. He came out and said, "This is the greatest movie ever made."
Yeah.
The president. So of course the people were going to believe, well, but the president said it, then it must be true. It all must be true, and that just reinforced the narrative even more. Yeah. We talked about Tulsa. Unfortunately, Tulsa was one of the most known ones. They did make a movie about Rosewood in Florida where it was a similar situation where a white woman came out and screamed a black man raped her. And like they say, oh, if you do something to that white woman, we're going to find your black ass. Oh, but it wasn't a black man. It doesn't matter. We're going to find your black ass. And that's what it was. They found the kid, again, they locked him up, but they stormed the jail and, beat him, murdered him, cut body parts off, to take his souvenirs. or just to mutilate him so his family could not, bury him properly. And it continued to go on and on and on. You think about, okay, a few years ago, Dylan Roof, okay, 9 people are going, well, that's not a massacre. It's a massacre if you're an unarmed person who was praying for someone minutes before, and then they come in and shoot you. See, that shoot a bunch of them, shoot 9 people, 9 innocent people that had no malice against you, okay? But if we go before that, Philadelphia was mentioned, okay? In 1985, the Philadelphia police used helicopters to drop bombs on a compound. As Kevin said, they lived in compounds, and that's what the black people were trying to do. The MOVE party, they called themselves the MOVE because that was their intention. That we want to move. We want to move away from you people. We want to move maybe back to Africa. They wanted to move somewhere, but they had their own compound, and people complained, oh, well, they're living there, and they got walls up, and they got this, and they're not letting people in. Well, that's what the other Jews were doing in their community, and the blacks were trying to do the same thing, but they didn't want them to do that, okay? And they say, well, they're always resisting what we tell them to do. Well, a lot of time what you're telling blacks to do is not what you're telling everybody else to do. So maybe they would be resistant. They told them to give up their guns and arms, and we'll let you leave peacefully. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And then they didn't. So they got mad. And what did they do? They used the police helicopter to drop. They have it on film, whether you see the police helicopter come in and drop a bomb. It's 1985. It's all recorded. I mean, how do people not know that these things keep happening? Not once, not twice. How many hundreds did we see? And they did that also when they dropped the bomb on the compound. Yes. Okay, there were 26 adults killed at that time, in addition to 11 children, and it burned. Okay, it set a fire, which they let go on for 2 hours before the fire department came, burning another 36 blocks. 36 blocks in the black community. How do you do that? You just sit back and let it burn.
What about the thing with the school that you didn't see this on the news, where one of the burned bodies of the children, 14-year-old, I believe, they're using his bones to study in a lab at not Harvard or one of the top schools. I was like, what?
In Pennsylvania, they collected the body parts from that attack, and they still had it as property, and it just came out in the news. And the other thing too is when it came to Tulsa, we have to remember, I think it was over 40 blocks. That was 35 square blocks. I have it here, 35 square blocks. 10,000 people were homeless. 1,256 houses destroyed. First aerial terrorist attack by planes. Let's see. And the other thing too, when you talked about Florida, Rosewood, what happened was a woman was having an affair, and the guy she was cheating with
beat her. Yeah.
So she was crying. So her husband comes home. Why are you crying? Why are you beat up? And she couldn't say that her lover did it. She said a black man did it. So we see Susan Smith, and we see the Philadelphia. What happened in Boston?
The mother. Yeah.
So a guy shot his pregnant wife. And
Stewart. It was the Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see that this theme keeps going over and over again.
Of course.
Because certain people want to believe negative things about another group of people.
Yes.
And anything is called confirmation bias. Because they want to believe it, they easily believe it. And that's part of the reason why we're in the condition we're in. The thing that we have to take forward from this lesson is, number one, unity, and number two, we have to think defensive minded, because we're not aware of how demonic society can be. We have to be conscious of that. Going forward, whatever we do, whatever we build, we have to have defense as part of one of our.
Because I mean, I don't think any of us can get two black people to join the mob to go beat up anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like they can get 1,000 people. You know what I mean? Like look at, like we talked about the Capitol. You think that any black so-called leader, I don't know, because I don't believe in black leaders. I don't know what that
looks like, right?
You think could say, "Hey, we're going to storm the Capitol on September 10th to 21. Guys, meet me." You look at it, you freaking crazy.
I say that all the time, Carl.
Are you fucking crazy?
Right.
Carl,
Like,
I
okay.
saw. I was out today with Patricia and I went out today and saw his big pickup truck pass us by, and he had the American flag and the Trump flag and the police flag in the back, and they're all flying as he went by and stuff. And I said to Patricia, I said, have you ever seen a black person with an Obama flag on the back of their truck or car? Not even when he was president.
Yeah.
You know, like not even when he was president did we put Obama flags on the back of our trucks and cars. And now that Obama's gone, we're definitely not doing it. But these people are still riding around with giant Trump. I mean, the flag was huge. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't a small flag. I mean, it was a big ass flag, man. Flying from the back of his truck, man. I was like, wow.
And you know, one of the crazier things about that, when you mentioned, funny you mentioned the flag. These people who are supposedly patriots, if you're a patriot, then you know the proper display of the American flag. Right. If you're displaying more than one flag, the American flag is supposed to be higher than all the other flags. It should be larger than all the other flags. Otherwise, you're disrespecting the flag. Right. Well, there you go, right there. Because every Trump rally I've seen, the Trump flag is bigger, the Trump flag is higher than even the American flag. So you're not even a patriot. You're not even following your own patriotic rules, or for what the country says for displaying a flag.
Well,
you're putting this man above the country.
Yes.
These people use the U.S. flag to beat police officers. Remember?
Yes, they did.
Kill one. How patriotic are you to kill your own kind, as they say? You're a police officer. You love them so much. Why are you killing this guy if you're patriotic?
With an American flag. An American flag.
And if you're really patriotic, I'm just saying, you wouldn't even kill somebody black, because if I'm an American, right, that's supposed to be our binding thread. Not me, brown American, you white American. That's not supposed. I'm just being very technical. But I laugh at people when they show these displays of this racism, because I'm like, it's really just say what you are. Just say what you are. Don't candy coat it. Don't say you're American and you're a patriot. Because if you're really a patriot, you're about your country. If you're really about your country, me and you like hamburgers versus, right? See what I'm saying? So it's all people who want to be evil and hateful, period.
So January 6th, let me say this real quick. January 6th. So we learned on January 6th that the same blood and anger that we see in these massacres that happened in the early 1800s still exists, basically. Those same people that attacked the Capitol with that mentality is the same mentality that attacked Tulsa.
Yeah,
you agree?
Yes, exactly, absolutely. Yes. They're trying it again. They're going to try.
So nothing's changed, basically, because there's still thousands and thousands of those people that still exist in this country that attacked that Capitol. Those are the same people that, if they were alive in 1921, would have been definitely in for attacking Tulsa and killing all those people. They'd have been there.
Oh yeah, they don't.
They weren't there because they weren't alive.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, Kev, because when I have conversations with white people who say that racism is not as bad as I say it is, as bad as black people say it is, I ask the question, so where did those thousands of people in 1921, do you think the people with that mentality, they're just gone? They just magically disappeared?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They no longer exist? You know, the people in the Capitol, at the Capitol, you think they went home and they had a epiphany? Oh my God, I no longer feel this way.
Nope, they're big and trying to rise up bigger and better.
And, I tell people all the time.
Worse than that is that the fact that because they were there, because they're trying to reconcile the Tulsa event. Today, the new mayor came in and said, "Yeah, we need to, put these people to rest." And there's still people there saying, "Well, it's 100 years ago. We shouldn't waste time and resources and money on this. We shouldn't have to worry about it anymore." What do you mean? You didn't have relatives or people from your family, people that still alive recently, that were killed, murdered, not killed, they were murdered, they were slaughtered, massacred.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
and you're saying it's okay.
Kevin was saying something. Go ahead, Kev.
Oh, I was just saying that. I forgot what I was saying. I was saying that The biggest argument that a lot of Republicans had today, they throw it in your face when we debate these people that, oh, that was the Democrats that was the KKK. That was the Democrats
It
that
was. I found
were slave
true.
owners. Yeah, you're right.
True.
But all of that switched over with Strom Thurmond.
Yes.
It switched over when the Dixiecrats, as they call themselves, you know,
trickery
joined the Republican Party because they were pissed off about the Kennedys working with Dr. King, you know, and they switched over. They left, the Dixiecrats left the Democratic Party and joined, you know, the Republican Party. That's why Nixon and Reagan and Bush Sr. used that Southern strategy to gain those, you know, votes, which was racist, get those people to vote for them so they can win their elections. But my point was what Carl was saying about, did they disappear? No, they didn't disappear, right? They just went from being racist Democrats that were trying to, you know, kill Dr. King and those guys back in the day that they fought for civil rights. And then they turned to the Republican Party, and now their kids are who we're dealing with today.
Yes.
You know, the Republican Party today is the kids and the uncles and the aunts and the ancestors of, you know, those racist people from the 60s that the ones that were beating the hell out of John Lewis and Dr. King and all that and all
but
that
they
stuff.
don't hide, Kevin. They don't hide. That's the thing. They don't hide. You can go right on Patreon right now and find a whole bunch of them.
Well, they don't hide now.
Facebook, they'll tell you.
We have the internet and we have Trump who basically emboldened them to come out and say, hey, I'm a racist fuck, you know.
Yeah.
Like we
but
all
the difference is we're not our ancestors. So that's the difference.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true.
Not going to be the same
we
thing.
Still live in fear. Let me tell you something real quickly before I move on. I apologize for taking up too much time.
It's okay.
I just performed in South Carolina last week, as you guys probably know. South Carolina, of all places, right? And I'm driving down, I see this Confederate flag on 95, still sitting there as you pass over North Carolina. Big, giant, huge Confederate flag. So anyway, my opening act is a white kid, very funny dude, man. He's my feature act for the weekend. At the last show on Sunday night, he says, yeah, man, I'm going to drive back to Florida tonight. He all packed up and ready to roll. I'm leaving after the show, man. Good working with you and everything. And he's driving back to Florida. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm full of energy right now, too. I'm going to hop in my car, pack my shit, and I'm going to drive because I had to do a cruise ship anyway the next day in Maryland. I'm going to drive that 7 hours to my next hotel. Then fear kicked in.
Right.
It's, you know, this kid has no fear. He's a little white boy.
Yeah.
Has no fear hopping in his car and driving 7 hours. The first thing popped in my mind is, whoa, I ain't worried about getting tired.
Right.
I'm worried about running into the Proud Boys.
Right.
I'm worried about running into the KKK and getting hung in the woods in South Carolina or North Carolina. I'm worried about getting pulled over by a Derek Chauvin type of cop, you know. So I got all this fear of why I'm going to take my ass back to my hotel and go to sleep and leave at daylight instead of driving that 7 hours at night. You know, I had the energy to do it, you know. So it's that fear that white people don't understand what it's like to live in our shoes, you know. This kid never thought about, if I leave tonight, I'm gonna get pulled over by a cop and harassed. You know, he never thought about, well, what if I get pulled over by a gang of black guys and they want to beat the shit out of me and take me in the woods and hang me? You know, that don't pop in his mind because it don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when
I'm thinking, Carl, man, what if I get caught out here on one of these back roads in North Carolina and get pulled over by one of these KKK dudes or one of these Proud Boys or one of these other white supremacist groups or run into some bad cop or something? I'm dead.
Yep.
You know, they're gonna find me
and
hanging
it's
in the
very
woods.
likely down there.
You know, so yeah, you know, that's the difference between what we go through as African Americans and what white people don't seem to understand. You know, because they don't live in our shoes and they live in this bubble, man.
I mean, it's like when I returned that card to the pharmacy, to Walgreens, immediately I knew that this could end up in me dealing with the police. Imagine that. All I'm doing is asking a question about a card calmly, as calm as I could. I'm trying to calm my calmness. That's how calm I was trying to be.
You know what's so funny about that, Carl? Every time I get something from the store, I have a habit of throwing away my receipts all the time. I don't like. I walk out the store, I'll bomb a receipt up and.
Me too. I do the same
thing.
thing.
Get to the car, my receipt is like.
Yeah.
I get home and realize I now got a diet something instead of regular something. I go, wait a minute, I gotta take this back. I go, Patricia, I gotta take this back, man. But I had a receipt. You know, can you take it back? Because they're not gonna argue with you.
Right. Yeah.
So a black man walking in the store going, "Hey, y'all bought this yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong kind." You got to go through that BS like you went through, right, Carl?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So when you guys talk about the fear,
But
the
the old
funny
white
thing
woman
is,
can walk in and talk about, I got this 3 years ago and I never used
All right,
it. Can I return it?
We got two people talking at the same time.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now we got no person talking.
No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm muting myself. No.
Go ahead, Preach.
Go ahead, Preach.
Go ahead, Preach.
No, that similar situation. You know, if the Karen walks in, it's like, oh, I bought this 3 years ago. Can I return this? Because I never used it. And they're like, oh, well, we'll give you credit. We'll give you a store credit. It's like, what? It's like, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Maybe not 3 years, but beyond the what would be reasonable for a return. You know, someone in 6 months. You know, and they were like, oh, we'll just give you store credit then. You know, so that's still giving them money. You're giving them something without an argument.
Yes.
Go ahead, Desi.
I was just saying that fear permeates through everything in society. Like, I joined Noom. I actually lost a little bit of weight, but when you're on Noom, you have a counselor that emails you and stuff. How you doing? What are you doing and stuff? And I said, well, the thing is, I'm not exercising as much as I want. And she goes, why? I said, because I used to get up at 3 a.m. and hit the track by 4 a.m. and I'm running around the track. But the NAACP put out a statement saying that white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys and the Percenters are doing initiations where they're catching black people alone and killing them as part of the initiation with Trump. So that stopped me from going to the track and running. So basically, I'm overweight because of the Proud Boys.
Can we get into litigation with them if something happens?
I mean, is there any documentation of black mobs attacking white communities? Anywhere?
No, I told you about the one in Harlem, but that wasn't the same thing. They didn't attack white people. They just was like, they just tore everything up because they thought that the police had taken that young boy, 14-year-old boy, and did something to him. And they saw a hearse, like everything lined up to make it look like they took him in the alley, beat him up, and he died. And then the coroner's there. So they're like, oh my God. So they thought the wrong thing, but it turned out it wasn't. So it turned into fires and fights, whatever. But it wasn't usually. I mean, what?
I should comment on hearsay, but they said during the Rodney King uprising that they were pulling people out of their cars and beating them up. They wasn't killing them.
Oh, it's not. Well, they pulled that white dude out.
But somebody black helped.
One white guy pulled out of a truck. Yeah, okay.
But that white guy was honking the horn and using the N-word, saying ha ha ha.
Exactly.
Oh, really? He was? Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure it wasn't.
Reginald Denny was his name.
Because you're in a truck.
Reginald Denny, yeah.
Because you're in a truck. Can't nobody bother you.
Slurs. Wow.
Right. Yeah, he's in a tractor trailer thing, and they couldn't get
all these years. I feel sorry for his ass.
Yeah, so was I, because he got hit with that brick on the side of his head.
Yep.
Wow.
Just recently,
well, the thing about Black
Lives Rally in Minnesota, they had a guy who said that someone reached in his car and attacked him. And then, but people have video cameras of him. He got out of his car and he had a bow and arrow and he's aiming it at people. Yep. And then eventually they got him. So he was playing the victim. A lot of times you got to realize these people play the victim.
Yes.
The victim, even though he was the instigator. Look at the guy, Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy who killed 2 people with his new AK-47. He was 17 years old, crossed state lines and killed people. And then he played the victim. So you got to be conscious of that too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to read a few comments here. Anthony Wilder said 100 years ago, black folks still had a collectivist community-based mindset. We didn't want to see each other suffer. Since Anthony said that, why can't we recreate a Greenwood or Tulsa? What's stopping us from recreating?
You know what? This is part of what we.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is part of what we need is to educate the youth as to what we have done and what we're capable of. So much has been not taught in schools. So much has been hidden by their history. See, their history, the rulers or the winners wrote the book. So they intentionally left out all the black achievements. When we did the show on black greatness. See, they didn't mention any of that stuff in the history books. when they don't mention any of the atrocities that they commit. So then a black kid goes through school and is like, I ain't nothing. I guess I am lazy. I guess I am this. And he gets brainwashed, and that gets drilled into his head over and over and over again. He doesn't know he's part of a great community or great communities that were before him.
So did the Tulsa Greenwood people, who did they learn from? I mean, they did it without any, you know what I mean? Anyone to...
Oh, no, they did have people. See, the slaves were teaching each other. The slaves were learning. They wanted to read.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Well, I think it's just, honestly, when you're dealing with evil, it doesn't matter what you do. Someone's going to try to tear you down. So you just have to keep going back at it. It's like being in a boxing match and you're losing, and you keep going at it till you win, I guess. That's kind of how I'm going to refer to it. So I'm not going to let it stop me. But more importantly, we have to train our children about our history and not rely on a school, because they will not tell you the truth at all, ever. Right? That's one. And then two, we have to start thinking generational wealth and doing things instead of spending $3,000 a year on your hair with basic maintenance. As a woman, I would think that, and use it to put in $1 million life insurance policy. I'm just making that up. You know what I'm saying? But we have to start thinking futuristic and thinking longevity, and not thinking about someone's going to come and kill us, because I'll tell you this. There are many great Black communities being started. I know so many people that went to Ghana. Some people went to Tanzania. I know people like Tanisha. You know, they go Morocco. I mean, they're really out here doing it, and they have no fear at all. Because
it can't happen in America, Tanya.
Huh? What'd you say?
It won't happen in America.
Well, no,
because they're not doing it in America.
Because Black Americans now, back in the day, the difference is, to me, is Black Americans back in the 1800s were together.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
We're not together today.
Well, they trained us.
I think they had to be together to survive. You know, I think Black people back then, like I said earlier, there was no crime in Tulsa. You know, we didn't have crime. There were guns. Obviously, we had guns, but we weren't shooting each other.
Yeah, I'm sure there was none of. What you looking at? Why are you looking at me? What you looking at?
Now today, you know. Now in today's society, it's, you know, I got mine, get yours. Unfortunately, I mean, everybody's not, you know. For example, you know, you see a brother at the gas station now, who barely speak to each other. Sometimes we go, "Hey, what's up, bro? What's up, man?" If you get eye contact, but very rarely you speak. You know, we don't have each other's back like they did back in those days. I don't see the unity amongst, you know, African Americans, that the unity they had back then. And even going back to the freaking 60s or you know, I mean, unity amongst Black people, you know, during the King era was, Black people were more together back then, but they were still facing Jim Crow and facing, you know, I think right now we just got too much, you know, piece of the pie, I think, you know, and we don't have that unity. I can't even imagine living in an all Black community right now.
But if you consider this panel, we're all working together. We're all in different places. We could have easily broke off and did our own thing.
We have a goal, though, bro. We have a goal. Our goal is, ain't nothing wrong with teamwork. I mean, we still, you know, we're a team. We're here to teach people about, you know, what's going on in the country if they want to hear it. And we work as a team, and we're a good team, you know. But that don't mean all five of us can live in the same house without being at each other's throats. You know,
this is how it starts. We have to commit.
I mean, Carl will be pissed off with Tanya's in his hat closet.
No, we're both in your closet.
No, because I'm not in your dress.
Y'all definitely be in my
closet, Tanya.
No, it all goes back to children, Kevin. I think if we train our children the way we want them to go, then these things, just like those Proud Boy parents trained their children and they're still living by the evil and the hate, we have to train our children opposite, and not to live by the evil and the hate, and to keep doing whatever it is that's going to make you thrive as a community, and to be inclusive in that community. And no matter what, you just don't let someone stop you. Like, you keep getting back. I mean, what are we going to do? I can't live my life in fear saying, oh my gosh, if I build a town, oh my God, they're going to come and burn it down. I'm going to build my town. I don't care what they say. I'm still doing my thing. Still doing it.
Let's consider
Hey, I can't hold on, let me say this real quick.
The legend of the phoenix, which is the bird that gets killed every 500 years and rises from their ashes.
Thanks, Roger.
That is about black people. The Phoenicians were black people that were super successful. And what happened is every few years, armies would gather to burn them down. What the Phoenicians would do is put all their things on boats. They would leave town when they were coming. Everything would get burned down, and then they would come back and build up again. The legend of the Phoenix is about black people who keep building up after everything gets burned down.
I want to say that the black millionaires back in 1819 or 1921 that put these towns together, that financed these towns. Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry alone have more. I mean, one of those. Michael Jordan has more money than all the black millionaires of the early 1900s. Oprah has more money than all the black millionaires, and black people probably all put together. You know, Tyler Perry also. We have enough wealth to have these type of cities if we wanted them. But our black billionaires, the guy who used to own BET,
they work for the man.
You know, who used to own BET? What's his name? You know, we have enough black billionaires in this country where we can have Tulsas all over again, Carl, guys. But you know what? It's not going to happen because you know Oprah's building a school for girls overseas. She ain't building a school here. You know.
Because that does not fit with the narrative. They wouldn't let her build a school if she wanted to. Depends on what it is. There's a lot of shady stuff going on with those people. That's why I don't even look to them as heroes anymore, because I already know what it is. You got that much money and you have not contributed to helping solve this problem. Clearly, we know what side you're on. We know.
And one of the people that I always tout is Neely Fuller, and his book is The United Independent Compensatory Concept. And he's saying that we don't have to be in a community. We have to be individuals who agree on an individual level to work with each other so that we can't be destroyed like Tulsa.
Yes.
So it's the United Compensatory. I have it right here.
Agree.
Neely Fuller, the United.
I totally get it.
Concept. And it's all about, as individuals, how to be on code so that when we're in either alone or with each other, how to conduct ourselves.
Yes, and a good example is, sorry, Carl, a good example is when Dr. King got assassinated, he wasn't the only one that they were after, you know, the CIA. There was plenty of African Americans who were able to organize, who were preachers, who were able to bring people together that they had on a list. I know some people personally who moved to, I'll say the county that I'm in, so that they cannot be found, let's just say. And I'll tell you people you might know who were on these lists of able to organize, Ozzie Davis and them. And you had Eartha Kitt was in some weird way on these little lists. There's plenty of people who were not allowed to they had to move because they were really in the South. They were not having. If you could organize, they did not want you around under no circumstances. So we can do it now. You see, if you look up here, when I was growing up, I grew up in an African American church. My mother was a minister. She knew all the people, the Links and the Jack and Jill, whatever you want to call them people. But you know how they did? They organized, like you said, from you're over there, I'm over there, but we all on the same page. That's how you have to do it.
Pamela Jones, hey Pam, she asked, she said, what will be interesting to know if there are any connections between Marcus Garvey's movement, 1919, the year of the new Negro, and Black Wall Street.
Good one. It's on the thing, but I didn't research it.
There were probably a lot of those going on, a lot of connections, because if you remember, 1919 was called the Red Summer because of all the massacres. There were 25 across the United States, 25 cities that experienced the Tulsa type of massacre, where a white mob went in and murdered hundreds of blacks. So it could have been thousands. I'm not sure the numbers exactly, but that's what they called it, the Red Summer. That's how bloody it was.
Yes.
Pamela Jones also said there are enough where we can have more Black Wall Street, but there is a larger power which doesn't want us to have another Black Wall Street. But I mean, Kev, with all the money you just mentioned and all these black people have, why do we still cower to white people that, you know what I mean? Like Damon John from the black dude on Shark Tank. he made a statement on Twitter, praising a speech that Farrakhan made.
Mm-hmm.
He just praised the speech. Farrakhan spoke at DMX's funeral, and he said it was a great speech.
Yep.
This man is worth like $300 to $400 million, and he had to take his Twitter comment down because some people were offended. If you got $300 to $400 million, right?
Why would you feel? Yeah, for example, because if Farrakhan was to pass away next week, and God forbid, I hope he doesn't. I love Farrakhan. I'm saying it right here now. I like his work. I like what he stands for. I don't care who don't like it, but I'll be hard pressed to put a picture of him up on my wall saying "Rest in peace, Farrakhan," because I don't have that type of money, Carl, and I know I have to continue to eat. And it would offend people. It would offend people that feed me, that give me jobs and gigs. But if I got $4 million, if I got that type of money in the world, I wouldn't care.
I'm like, listen, I'm gonna live on a budget.
Exactly. I'll retire. I'll build my own comedy club and work in it.
Right.
But for some reason, this, and I've said this before, for some reason, there seems to be somebody that Oprah's afraid of. There seems to be somebody Michael Jordan's afraid of. With all the money they have, there seems to be some person that these people.
How come Michael Jackson didn't tell people over Sony kiss my ass?
Right?
When they made him take this,
because people who are more into conspiracy theories will tell you that you cannot get that level of wealth.
That's right.
Unless they have leverage on you in order to pull your strings and make you do what they want.
Yeah, right. Or the mysterious way in which Michael Jordan's father died. Okay, when he had all these gambling issues, and all of a sudden your father ends up dead, and you're out of the league for 2 years before you come back. Come on.
Mm-hmm. And Bill Cosby's son. I mean, there's a lot of weird things. But
Bill Cosby's son that ended up dead because he was supposedly changing a tire.
Yeah, that's neither here nor
on
there.
a car that had tires that automatically blow up. By the way,
exactly. I was going to say, I was like, I ain't going to go there. But that's neither here nor there. What's important to know is you don't have to ask that question because you already know that there must be something higher up that's stopping them. Because only person and I still don't know what's going on with him, which I'm like, okay, I'm loving LeBron James, loving him. Because he's the only one that's doing the things that if I had that kind of money, oh yeah, that's what I do. Start a school, this and that. That's what I'd be doing. But I don't even know to what level that is. You know what I'm saying? But there's something going on because if you put all their money together, we can start our own nation. Really, it'd be crazy. But that's not going to happen because there's people that Gerald gets his $5 gazillion and says, "Oh, I'm good now." Okay, you guys go and do whatever you got to do. That's how it usually goes. I'm comfortable.
I'm kind of afraid to win the lottery because that means I'm not doing
Are you being unbalanced?
No, I'm not afraid. So if you win that winning ticket, send it to me. I'll take care of it.
That's right. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
I mean, but there's no. Is there anywhere in America where you can look at and say that's facsimile or anywhere close to Black Wall Street? Anything we can look any place we can name that? Do Black people own any high rises?
Yes, of course. That's Black people that own tons of property acres.
No. I mean high. Like for me, what I'm talking about is like if you go into any city, you see these 10, 20, 30 story buildings.
On buildings, yes, there's plenty of us. Yeah.
Some are owned by Japanese. The Japanese own banks, and if you go into Manhattan, you see all these. Are there any of those type of buildings?
Yes.
Owned by Black people?
I think so. Yes, there has to be at this point. I mean, come on.
I mean, if somebody's watching and they can, because what my dream is to see a building like a 50-story building owned by Black people, hiring Black people, and seeing thousands of Black people going in and out of that building every day working. You know what I mean? Like it's owned.
The Crump Plaza instead of Trump. Benjamin Crump is going to make his own.
Right.
The Crump Plaza, he said.
Crump.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, I to me, that's when I would feel good to see we have these high rises and we hire. You know what I mean? And there's Black people going in and out, working every day, and you know what I mean. I see it. I see Chinese doing it. I see the Indian doing it from India. The white people do it. Koreans do it. You know what I mean? If you go in, if you're, well, I'm in New York a lot, so I see it a lot in New York. You know
But
what I
if
mean?
you're black and you have that type of money, wouldn't you keep it under wraps? Like,
Thank you. You better.
Like Byron Allen, like Byron Allen did.
because of
Look
the
at-
hate, because of the jealousy you'd get.
So there you go. So that's why we would never get anywhere. I mean, if you've got that kind of money and you're afraid to help your people, then that's a problem.
Oh yeah, and I left out Byron Allen's money. He can go in with that group of look. There's enough money. Black people shouldn't be struggling for black people shouldn't want for shit right now. That's the bottom line. There's enough money in the black community, black millionaires and black billionaires walking in the United States of America, where I shouldn't have to drive through the worst part of New York and see kids, struggling like they are, or whatever. I'm just saying it's just too much money. I don't even know how people sleep at night. I mean, having that much money and knowing that. I mean, one person can't change the whole world, but I'm just saying, it's just too much money, man. It's just no reason Black America's in the shape they're in, except we don't share. We don't share. For example, I mean, look, we talk about those guys went down to the courthouse with their guns to save that brother's life, and it cost them probably all their lives,
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't happen a lot, It doesn't happen a lot. Dylan Roof, speaking of Dylan Roof, the scumbag lowlife that he is, he received a few $1 million into his GoFundMe page. He had to shut it down, actually, because he getting too much money donated to him. After he killed 9 black people, he receives that much money from who?
Yeah, but they should have let him keep taking it and then give it to the victims.
But but that's a good idea. But guess who's giving him that money?
Who else?
The same people that burned down Tulsa.
Well, we can't get that. We can't get that. If Carl ends up smacking the white girl in the store over trying to return a card and goes to jail, you think his GoFundMe fund, how much money he gonna get?
Yeah. I call him Desi.
He might get $10. He might get $10.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Carl, I got a car note, bro, but I get you like $50.
Yeah.
You don't need any proof except knowing that George Zimmerman is still walking around committing even more crimes. And you got these people who kind of don't really have anything vested in society, and they let them walk right by them. And in that, like, if you can do a drive-by or a black on black crime, but you let George Zimmerman walk right by you, what does that say?
Well, a lot of black people have now taken up arms, literally. I mean, literally thousands across the United States, because they feel like the Tulsa thing could happen again. And so I know a lot of people who never would have had guns are literally being trained and permit to carry the whole 9. And as a Quaker, it's hard for me because I'm not supposed to have guns. But I know I'm not letting you come up to me and just think you're gonna just do anything you want to me either. So I've got a catch-22 going on. But we're not standing by anymore. And I don't think Tulsa will happen again, because there's so many of us that are packing heat and doing our own thing now that you try it if you want to, but it's probably not going to work that level. Thank God. So I just tell people, just do what you got to do to create your generational wealth. Buy property, Carl. We're going to buy that building. Buy property, leave your kids something, and keep going until you have to. I mean, I know somebody that had somebody white buy the house for her. Just saying, you know what I'm saying? So it happens, but you got to do what you got to do.
I'm going to read a few more comments. Patricia, Felix, Kevin's better half. Yeah. The best half. We need to start a GoFundMe for Black Wall Street. See what happens. Yeah, I didn't know Patricia wrote jokes.
And the guy did some shady stuff with the money. There's a guy. Who was,
I would love that. As I've told you guys before, if I see Black people doing anything, I support it. If they're selling turds, I'll stop and I'll buy a turd from a Black. No, I'm just saying I support, but
like when you support. Okay, so Greenwood is supposed to be starting this bank, right? I got all excited. I was like, yes, I'm in. I'm ready to do it. They're going to send me an email saying, you are number 250,000. Okay, it's been like 7 months, and now they're just giving all these videos and stuff, and I'm like, okay, where is it? Then they had to get somebody white to help them open this bank. So I'm like, when's the bank coming? So I'm like, sometimes you try to support, and it's like, get it together first and get back to me when you're really ready. Okay. So
Emma also, she said something interesting here. Let me see if I can find it. She said there was a guy. I guess there was a black guy in Seattle who had a high-rise building, and the government went after him, and now it's a residential building.
Well, I won't say where it's at, but there's also, I know someone else in my family, I'll just say, but nobody knows who that is, which family I'm talking about, my foster, adopted, or my real. So I'll just keep it like that. And they were in Willed oil mine wells, and they tried to take it away. The state, I won't say which one, tried to take it away from them several times, and still have not been able to get the land. So there are some people that own stuff all around. That's all I'll say about that.
Pamela said something that I was about to say.
Right.
She said, how does a group feel about the theory that desegregation costs the black community the ability to replicate the Black Wall Street?
We need a whole show on that. We need
a
whole show.
Yeah, and actually part of it I agree with, because when blacks, think about when you had black baseball, okay, and you had all these players, great players that were in that. And then when they were allowed to go into the National Baseball League and play with the whites, well, all those teams, all the businesses that those teams generated, all the stadiums that they supported, all of them disappeared. See, they lost it all because they didn't have the following anymore. So now blacks can go and watch baseball at the regular stadiums, and some of the players can play at the regular stadiums. Well, so some of the players a lot of the players aren't playing at all. See, so a lot of people lost their jobs in the stadiums. A lot of players lost their jobs. Why? Because, hey, we can play with them now.
And it took the power away from us in a weird way.
Yeah, because we had our own thing, but then we didn't keep our own thing when we got to be part of their thing. See, that's what we need to learn. No, we need to learn to keep our own thing, even when you let us be part of your thing.
And Anthony Wilder said, my friend is fighting the state for land they took without notifying them. And the reason I'm reading this one, because when I was doing research on the Tulsa, Oklahoma, after the buildings were burnt and black people lost all their businesses, they never got compensated for it. They never got any money compensation. Right. And they built a highway through.
Right.
They built a highway, so now the highway is sitting on top of the land that the black people own. So now the ancestors of those people that are trying to get money from the government for the land that they took, and of course that's not happening.
They estimate that the value of that land that they took is worth over $60 million in today's money.
Wow.
Mm.
It's just shameful. And the government, if you look at all the massacres, the government often would turn blind eyes, the courts would turn blind eyes, and the police would participate to help carry out mob, atrocities, which is crazy.
Yeah. The Philadelphia one was done by the police. The police did it.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where we're going now with, we had this summer, a few months ago, we had a kid who was special needs, was walking through a neighborhood, and a military sergeant accosted him. What are you doing in my neighborhood? We don't.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Then what happened was a bunch of people went to his house and they started harassing him because our expectation of justice has been so diminished that we know that we have to get justice ourselves. We can't really rely on the government, the police. So when something happens, we're not waiting anymore, and it's going to get worse and worse, or better and better. And we're not waiting for the government to give us justice. We're getting it ourselves.
Take it ourselves. Yep.
Yeah. Gina Fiore, Gina, or number one.
Super fan.
Gina. We love you. We love us. We love you. I won't say we love us. Is this the thing black people say? I love some Gina. If I said that, is that a thing that?
That's okay.
That's a thing.
I love me some Gina.
I love
me some Gina.
I love me. As long as her name's not Karen.
Wait. We actually have a fan, Karen.
Yikes.
Karen, yes, we do have.
Did you see the statistic this year? Karen's name had the greatest drop in newborn babies ever. People are naming the babies Karen.
It's like, what's your name? Karen. Okay.
Gina said they had to hire an attorney to open up the records. The people of Black Wall Street. But she was asking Tanya Cooper, do you have Hulu? Watch the series The Sun with Pierce Bronson.
The Sun?
Yeah, The Sun with Pierce Bronson. It made me so angry about Texas Indians, Hispanics, and it's outrageous taking land from. But that's what I notice about right. Whenever white people show up, the people the people are willing to share. Right, they show up. The Indians are okay. We'll share. There's enough land for all of us. We can share. They went to the Caribbean. The Indians that were in the Caribbean were like, okay, we're willing to share. You know, you can sleep there. We share the food. And white people are like, no,
right.
We want everything.
Tooth and nail.
Yes.
Nails too.
One thing too.
Everything.
Yeah.
One thing too. We gotta remember. We gotta remember to hold the Congressional Black Caucus accountable too, because when they showed up in Tulsa, they're wearing Jordans and they're dancing down the street, but they didn't propose any legislation or anything to help the people that were just joining. So the Congressional Black Caucus, I can't talk today. They are in the pot. They're in the pot of like Oprah and all these people who don't necessarily keep our interests in mind. So we got to keep that. We got to keep holding them accountable too.
Yes.
I think we got to stop thinking that the people who support Trump are going to change. It seems like.
No. Oh no, I never thought that.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying I get that feeling in general. I don't mean us people. I mean when I watch.
They know that, and we know that. There's no question about that. If you are that person, you are that person because it's embedded in your DNA, period. There's nothing's going to save you. Not even the Lord can save you on that one. Sad to say.
Yeah. Even Gina said, but the whites always want more.
Yes, more and more.
Exactly. Well, in doing the research for this week's assignment, it's funny Gina mentioned the thing about Pierce Bronson in Mexico and the Indians there. I noticed that during the same time in the 20s, when Mexicans were trying to come here to work, and we all know that they use a lot of the Mexicans to do the farm work and harvest our produce and things like that. They had a delousing program. They started a rumor about that they were, bringing a disease caused from lice. So they would delouse them using kerosene and vinegar. They would make them take a bath in kerosene and vinegar. And they had one incident where someone lit a match and 26 of them were died, and they called it the delousing incident. It was a delousing incident where 26 of them had died because they were supposedly cleaning them or delousing them with kerosene and vinegar.
And like, who would put a match around that?
Yeah. Oh, our friend Travis just commented. Travis Wortham from Big D. Tell folks to buy 2 books: The Black Tax, the breakdown of what blacks are owed for slavery and continuous discrimination, and stamped from the beginning by Iran X. I don't know who that is. Iran X. Iran X. Do you know who that is? I don't know.
No, I'm looking. I'm trying to see. No.
Indy, about the whole system of racism and white supremacy, how the racism and white supremacy got started, promoted, and is in place today.
Yep.
I'm listening to the show. What up, Travis?
Hey, Travis.
Yeah, Travis.
It's in places where you would not even expect it. Like,
where would you not expect it? I'm always ready. I'm catching it. Oh, under the table. There. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, in places where you shouldn't see it, I guess I should say.
Bikini wax. Oh.
When people say, because I what I've noticed is when black people say white supremacy, a lot of white people think we mean they're in the Klan and they have the hood on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's not what we mean. We mean like
Condition to
little
think it's
local
the
labor.
extreme white supremacists.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
you know.
I mean, extreme, because here's the thing. I want to bet for 500, Bob, that if there's some of these people that did the Capitol, that if they had the opportunity, there'll be a lot of us hanging from trees right now, including our babies, with no questions asked. No questions asked. So I'm not shocked at anybody. I'm always at this stage of the game. I always assume you're racist until you show me you're not. That's just me. That's just me. As bad as it sounds, I always say, well, I kind of expected it. You get
That's
my
in
card?
this book.
It is?
In this
Okay,
book.
good. Well, I have my own red shirt on today, Preach, so don't worry. I got my
So I mean, for me personally, if someone's acting like they're afraid of me, I mean, you guys told me that's not racism, but I can't trust that person. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
If you are, you know what I mean? If I'm making you nervous,
Yeah.
just by talking to you,
Tells you everything you need to know.
yeah.
Everything. And you know when someone has good intentions when you first meet them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have those reservations, or looking at Kevin like, oh, he's got a hat on and he's got his hand here. Like, they don't do all that sizing up. It's like, hey, Kevin, how are you? What's up?
Yeah.
Period. That's it. Period. No, like, oh, well, Jesse just moved to the right a little bit. I'm not sure about. Come on, really? Body language tells it all. You know when someone genuinely meets you, that they don't care about your color or your whatever is going on, because they just was so excited to meet you because you seemed like a dope person. Period.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever met a white person, a friend on the street, and they're with another white person? And as you're talking to your white friend, you can tell the other white person is looking like, you know what I mean? They gotta look like.
We call them out. That's what we do. We call them out. We're like, oh, do you have a problem with brown? Don't worry, don't rub off.
Right? They're looking, and I always imagine the conversation going, I didn't know you knew black people. Like, you know what I mean? They just have a look on their face like they can't believe.
Oh, I make you uncomfortable as a fuck. I did it in England. Oh, I'm really good at that. Oh yeah. I live for that. That's my moment. Like, oh, I'm in a room and they're looking at me funny. Here we go. Time for the show.
But it just shows. I think somebody in Congress said racism is a disease, and he wanted white people evaluated, or I don't know how that. He wanted to go lay on a couch.
No.
He said they need to be evaluated. Because if you can get up in the morning and not like somebody because they don't have the same skin color as you got some issues.
Oh yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Issues.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Geez, I didn't realize. Wow, it's an hour and a half could be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, racism is long and exhausting.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you try to get rid of or cut it short, but you never can. It just
was that Desi got Super Papa gotta go?
Super Papa?
Well, you know that.
Yeah.
They call me Big Papa.
Wait, what are the events for today? Because I know you got something good.
Oh, today we planted a garden.
Ooh.
The whole family.
Going back to.
Can you be my daddy?
The boys started golf.
Oh wow.
Classes.
Nice.
I don't know if you can see that.
Listen, I need a daddy.
And we planted a garden. But I have to tonight I gotta walk the dog, and then we're getting beach stuff. We gotta get treats for the beach. We're going to the beach early tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Desi, are you happy? Because your life seems so scripted. Like,
I'm organized. Life is very short.
Yes.
Okay. I don't waste time. I hate wasting time. Yes. Everything is organized and planned.
That's what I realized. Like,
if you find out tomorrow that you're not gonna live anymore, and you realize how much time you wasted not being productive, I hate it. I hate wasting time.
Good for you.
The reason I ask because I go by the spirit of the moment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, plan. I don't do a lot of planning in my life. I just, you know what I mean? You plan everything? Yeah, I'm not a planner.
Well, when you have kids, you have to anyway. When they're young like that, you got to plan.
Yeah,
you have kids.
I think you're a great dad, and if you need a daughter, I can change my own diapers. I can change my own diapers.
Yeah, because that would get awkward if I try to change your diaper.
I can cook for you, and I can wipe your ass when you get
Okay, you got the right shirt on, so you might just hold it up to the camera.
Hold it up for yourself. Hold it up for yourself.
I had to. Sorry.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up today. I want to thank everyone for watching the show. Thank to everyone for contributing. And I always forget to put the link in the chat. If anyone wants to
Yay.
be on the panel, if you have anything to say, you want to say it live, I'll give you the link. You can jump on. So I want to thank Russell Clark. I always see Russell CLAR.
That's my cousin.
Yeah, but his name, I only see the first 4 letters of his last name. Anthony Robertson, Gina Fiore,
thank you all.
Pamela Jones, Anthony Wilder, Farrah Kristen. I don't know if that's a friend of yours.
Yep, that's one of my coworkers.
That's one of your coworkers. Oh, she's gonna be looking at you different now, Des.
She's very cool, girl.
She's very cool. Okay, cool.
Hey, Trump supporters, stop ducking us. Come on the show.
Right.
We're actually trying to get some Trump supporters to come on the show.
That's right. No, but he got the gut for that one.
In one of our meetings, we kind of debated: is it makes sense to have a Trump supporter on? Because we never got. But I think people learn from any other side. So
yeah, I'd love to hear someone because you're right. We can't move forward until we figure out why. Maybe someone's thinking something that they don't even know they're thinking is kind of twisted.
Yeah.
They may really sincerely believe that, but maybe once they hear something, or maybe once I hear something, I'll say, never thought that. Nothing wrong with dialogue.
Yeah. Glendine Carter, what up? Fellow Bajan, what up? Travis with him. I think I got. I can't get everyone. So thanks to everyone for watching the show. I'm going to start with Desi. Anything you want to add? Anything you learned from today's show? Anything you think can help? How can we recreate a Black Wall Street? Anything?
Just want to say thank you to my panel of 5 Black comics. Great working with you guys. I love that we're able to come up with something every week and be creative and have so much energy. Thank you all. I'll name you Carl, Preach, Kevin, and Tanya. Thank you so much. Thanks to the audience for watching. I appreciate you all. Thanks to my wife for the support she gives me that lets me do the show.
Yes.
Lucky you. Preach.
Thank you, wife.
What we need to do is just like they do in other communities that have been mentioned, the Jewish community, the Koreans, Chinese, patronize each other. If Tanya opened a business, I got to be one of her patrons. If Kevin opened a business.
Open a business?
Yes, buy my book. Survivor Foster Care, making it work for you.
No, but I'm saying, we need to start patronizing one another, and that's how we grow. They said in Tulsa, a dollar bill changed hands 26 times before it left that city. So that means they were patronizing one another. They were supporting one another, and that's what we need to learn to do.
I think what Pamela said about segregation, I think there is a show there that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pamela. Kevin Lee, anything?
I never entertained segregation in the modern world, but things are changing.
You sound like you're about to do an infomercial.
I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. It's getting too much, man. Maybe we do need to be alone. I don't think it'll work personally, to be honest, but today, just to wrap it up, man. I still can't believe, I'll make this quick. For all of summer of 2020, all I saw on social media is people going, look at the black people looting. Look at the black people looting. Look at black people looting. They didn't care about George Floyd getting killed. All they cared about was black people were looting Target, looting Foot Lockers or whatever. Tulsa, Oklahoma has proven to us that, white America is the biggest looters of all time.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll
Yes.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if the shoe don't fit, then it don't apply to you.
That's it. That's it, and that's all.
So
Yeah.
I want to hear this. Kevin is racist. No, I'm just talking about the assholes who, you know.
Just the facts. Just the fact.
Thank you.
Yes.
The biggest looters of all time has been white America against people of color.
Yes.
It's documented. It's
Amen.
documented.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hear about Target anymore on Facebook.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tanya.
So, in summary, I just want to say to all my folk out there, when you can, take a break. If you can get away and go to Tanzania or go somewhere that's friendly to us, Ghana, if you can go to Morocco, even if you just go for like a month, get away somewhere where you're the norm. So then you can process all the stuff that's happened, get it out, come back and start all over again. Because I don't know about you, but I ain't leaving without my reparations. You want me to leave? I'll be more than happy to. Pay me, give me my land, and I'll be out. No problem. So that's one. Two, how do we come back and start all over again? Oh, somebody's things on. So how do we not let this happen again? So if you're white and watching, and if you're black and watching, how do we not let these things like Tulsa happen again? In my opinion, one, you need to get rid of all the fear and stop believing the propaganda that's put on the news. Stop watching TV, period. Unless you watch like the first 3 minutes of news just to see what's going on, stop watching it. Because everything in it is made to make you have fear. And when you have fear, there comes jealousy. When jealousy comes in, then if it is in your nature, the evil starts, right? Because now I got an excuse to do what I'm going to do, right? So if you can, try not to watch the media anymore because they're going to scare the crap out of you and make you think, oh, those black people are taking my jobs. Oh my God, the Mexicans is coming. What are we going to do? It's not happening. There's enough to go around in this world for every last human being. Some man sat behind a desk and made up the concept that, sorry, Kevin, you can only get 2 of those. And sorry, Des, there's only 3. That's it. There's not enough for you 2 over there. Sorry, guys. You're just going to have to starve. That is all a lie. It's the biggest lie ever told to the human being. God has made plenty on this earth for everything. Food, garden, whatever you want to do, you can have it. There is no excuses. There is nothing that's going to stop you if you keep at whatever it is you're doing. So stop believing the lies, guys. Stop believing it and stop with the jealousy. There's enough for you too. That you can be a union worker too, like I can be a union worker. You can have your job. Ain't nobody taking your job. Create another one. Maybe God intended you to make it even better. Maybe he intended for you to start a whole new union. So don't be scared of people coming and take the immigrants. Oh my God, they're going to take my jobs. We can't get them out of town. Stop listening to the Trump lies and all those type of Proud Boy lies. They're absolute lies. If you stop thinking like that, maybe we as a people can all get along.
All right. Pamela Jones said Stevie Wonder is moving to Ghana.
He did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he can't even see white people. And he's like,
he can feel their soul.
I'm putting the shirt out. That's it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
write that down. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Very good. Yeah. I know a lot of people that moved to Ghana. My friend's there now, and she sent me, even during the whole pandemic, she's been chilling.
Yeah.
Chilling. Yeah.
It's a whole different feeling.
And they will take any black African American and give you citizenship free.
Really?
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's a whole different feeling. I know in the future we're going to do a show about Africans and people from the Caribbean, their negative views of Black Americans. So, I mean, that's a show we're going to get into, but it's a whole, until you live in America, until you live in this country, you can see it on TV, but you don't get the full effect until you live in America. Because when I first came to this country, I'm like, I just got to smile and be nice to these white people, and I would be sailing. No problem. How can they not love me? I'm from the Caribbean. I have a great personality. Never had an issue with anyone in this world. All the white people that came to Barbados were smiling, and I got along with them. You know what I mean? If I'm happy with 2 white people, I'm gonna be ecstatic with 2 million white people. right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We all know how that works.
Carl wasn't sailing. He was in a canoe with no paddle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so with that, we thank you for watching the show. I thank everyone. Patricia Felix, thank you so much. Thank you for the videos you send me. I rarely use those videos because I don't have a lot of time during the week. And we shared a video this week that made us go, wow. It's a video, a legitimate video where white people are talking about how to sell to black people. It was like they were filming like on the safaris of Africa, like they were talking to animals. I'll share it with you guys, but it was very incredible. How to sell to the Negro is what the video was.
Well, that was not the one from the 50s, is it the original?
Yes. That's the one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, how to sell to the Negro.
Well, we should watch it, so then when we watch it, then we can give a response, a comedic response. It's like, I just don't want to buy that. It's too expensive.
How to sell to the Negro.
That's funny.
All right, so thanks to everyone for watching the show. Please tune in next week where we will have another exciting topic. Please like and share. Please tell everyone on YouTube. Subscribe. Yes. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your enemies. Tell everyone. You guys have a good night. Be safe. Love one another. And patronize black businesses. If there's any takeaway you get from our show, if you are looking for a plumber, electrician, whatever you're looking for, if you can find a black person, please do so. Comedians also, if you're looking for a comic, there's 5 right here. You have your pick.
Right here. That's right.
All right, everybody, have a great night, and we love you.
Bye.
Take care. Peace, love everybody.
It was Freddie, Sam, Corey, Eric, Philando, Ahmad, Steven, Kenneth, Amadou, Jonathan, Christian, Terrace, Sean. Killed him a day before his wedding. Jamal killed him while he was in handcuffs. Mike killed him while he had his hands up. Kamani, Ramali, Phillip, Alton. About 3 Kevins, about 2 Jordans. John, Laquan, Bathon, Stephon, Tony, Tamir, Elijah, Antoine, Isel, Terrell, Dontre, Akai, George. For him, set the country on fire. Timothy, Patrick, Paul, Tyree, Quintonio, Darius, Jeremy, William, Anthony, Dante, Oscar, Kendrick, Keith, David, Walter, women like Sandra, Betty, Rihanna, India, Michelle, Tatiana, Tanisha, Rika, Natasha, Pamela, Janet, Megan, baby Ayana. All that we lost, your name live on. Wasn't killed by a cop, but I can't forget Trayvon. Can't forget Emmett, and all of those we lost to the beast. No justice, no peace.
All right.